Good evening. Call to order this April 17th meeting of the Winston-Salem City Council and ask the City Secretary to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Larson. Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Bessie.
Here.
Councilmember Montgomery.
Here.
Councilmember Burke. Here. Councilmember Adams.
Here.
Councilmember McIntosh.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Thank you very much. Would you please join the City Council and me for a moment of silence? Thank you. And would you join the City Council and me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our Sergeant at Arms tonight is Lieutenant John Morris. Lieutenant, thank you for being with us. Right there he is. I think, Lieutenant, it's your first tour of duty with us on this one, so we're glad to have you with us tonight, sir. Folks, tonight's agenda of the City Council is comprised of two parts, the general agenda and the consent agenda, and it's the practice of the council to take the consent agenda first. However, we do have one item I want to do before we get into that, and that is recognition of Melanie Johnson, our City Secretary. She has completed the Certified Municipal Clerk Program, and we have a certificate for her. So, Melanie, can we just present it to you right here? Would you like to say anything? Never get to speak here.
I don't. Thank you. Want to thank the mayor and council for the recognition, and took a lot of hard work, but it's worth it, and I'm looking forward to working on more certification. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Secretary's office is crucial to the proper functioning of city government to keep all the records, keep all these agendas and documents going here. Also on the general agenda, we'll do G1 before we go to consent agenda. Melanie, if you'd read G1, please.
Item G1, resolution honoring the 2017 Outstanding Women Leaders recipients. Whereas the month of March is Women's History Month, and whereas according to the National Women's History Project, it is important to share the stories of individual women who have successfully challenged the role of women in both business and paid labor force. Women have always worked, but often their work has been undervalued and underpaid. It is important to honor trailblazing women in labor and business. And whereas the City of Winston-Salem will acknowledge the strength and effectiveness of women leaders in Winston-Salem at a recognition program on April 20th, 2017. And whereas this year marks the 14th annual Outstanding Women Leaders Program hosted by the City of Winston-Salem. And whereas the Outstanding Women Leaders Program has previously recognized 130 chief executive officers, doctors, attorneys, and women of numerous professions as an effort to shine a light on the significant contributions made by women leaders in the community. And whereas this year's honorees who exemplify leadership characteristics are former Representative Earlene Parman, Tawana Archia, Project Manager, UNC of School of the Arts, Cheryl Harry, Director of African American Programming at Old Salem Museums and Gardens, Rosalba Ledesma, Associate Vice Chancellor for the Facilities at Winston-Salem State University, Cheryl Lindsay, Director of Global Diversity and Inclusion, Haynes Brands Incorporated, Randon Pender, Independent Nurse Case Management, Dr. Joanna Porter Kelly, Associate Professor of Microbiology at Winston-Salem State University, Lynn Rhodes, Co-Founder and Executive Director of Authoring Action, Evelyn Sanders, retired teacher and owner of S&J Specialty, Anna Marie Smith, Chief Human Resources Officer, Forsyth Technical Community College, Angela Saul, Deputy Fire Marshal, Winston-Salem Fire Department, and Laney Pope, Chief Meteorologist, WXII News 12. And whereas the hard work and accomplishments of all women are valued and appreciated by the Mayor and City Council and citizens of Winston-Salem, now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Winston-Salem City Council approve honoring the aforementioned 2017 Outstanding Women Leaders and wishes them much success as they continue their efforts in leading the next generation of women leaders.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That is unanimous. And Councilmember Burke is going to present the resolution. I guess Diana Suggs is Ms. Suggs here? She's the chair of the committee there. Deborah Gunter. Okay. All right. Very good. First.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On behalf of the Outstanding Women's Leadership Committee, thank you to the Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council for the opportunity to recognize women of Winston-Salem that have made significant contributions to the community. The committee looks forward to honoring these women on Thursday evening at the Embassy Suites.
Thank you.
Good evening to all of us.
Good evening.
I've been in bed all day today, and I got up to come here for this. It's too important when we have women doing so many things for me not to be here. And I want you to know that I appreciate the council people for always supporting and voting for progress in the city. And we are a very progressive city. We're probably one of the few cities that has an official women's committee. And the challenge to the women would be to make sure other women, no matter what their income, you make it diverse and you lift women up. So it's my pleasure to present to you this resolution. And has the name of all of the mayor and members of the council. It's my pleasure. Now, the women whose names were called earlier, just all of you stand up, please. So we can just in the spirit.
Thank you. Now we have item G2 as well.
Item G2, resolution honoring Mrs. Dorothy Ann Bonner for her dedicated community and leadership service. Whereas Dorothy Ann was born to the union of William and Alberta Singleton on May 4, 1947 in Winston-Salem. She is a product of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system, attending and graduating from Carver High School. And whereas Dorothy met and married the love of her life, and to that union 4 children were born: Clarence Jr., Carlton Bonner, Shane, and Scheherazade. She is the proud grandmother of 5 and even prouder great-grandmother of 13. And whereas Dorothy relocated to Boston, Massachusetts for 16 years, where she was employed with the Gillette Razor Company for 15 years. It was there where she first became involved in community and crisis development, as well as heavily involved in politics. And whereas in 1983, Dorothy returned to Winston-Salem, where she was employed by the East Winston Community Development Corporation, Northwest Child Development Council, and retired from Wake Forest Baptist Hospital in 2005. And whereas, having a deep interest in politics, social justice, and consumer rights, Dorothy has participated in numerous community leadership programs, such as founder and president of the Fairchild Hills Tenant Association, which provided after-school tutoring for youth and babysitting for young mothers. For over 30 years, she has been a community activist in the Bowen Park neighborhood and has served as both the Drug and Alcohol Coalition Board of Directors and the board of the North Winston Community Development Corporation, where she participated in a leadership academy. Whereas in 2014, Dorothy reorganized United Neighbors Involved in Transforming Youth, or UNITY, which was originally formed in 1994 as a year-round lawn care service program for ages 13 to 17, committed to transform neighborhood youth and assist them in becoming successful, productive citizens of society. And whereas Dorothy is a community grassroots leader who is compassionate and has excellent people skills, her motto is "Together we stand, divided we fall." She is energetic, motivated, committed, and dedicated to helping others. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Winston-Salem do hereby recognize and honor Mrs. Dorothy Ann Bonner for her love, commitment, dedication, and over 30 years of service to her community and the city of Winston-Salem.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That is unanimous. And again, Councilmember Burke is going to present that to Mrs. Bonner.
I got up out of my bed for this, Miss Bonner.
Unity.
When I met Miss Bonner some years ago, she tried her best to be a thorn in my side. And she pushed, and I pushed. And we knew that we were there for a purpose, and that was to serve the people. So Miss Bonner, when she found out that my husband was up in his first class when he started teaching at Carver School, she got in line real well, didn't you, Miss Bonner?
Ma'am.
You want, come stand with her and Mr. Lee and her son. Miss Bonner, you know I'm honored. We've been together a long time. And if you want someone to burn a telephone up, she can burn a phone up.
No, too.
Now be careful. I just want you to know I am grateful to God that our paths crossed and that you have been such a wonderful person in helping us to take care of our neighborhood in the area where you live and motivating other folks to want to do the same thing. And I want you to know that this city is blessed to have citizens like you who don't tear up but build up. We appreciate you so much. You want to say a word or two?
Bonner?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be in all of your presence. I know the day is supposed to be for me, but I want to correct that. It's for us all. Because if it wasn't for you, and all of you, it wouldn't be no me. This is a gift that has been given to me by my Lord and Savior. And I tried to do my best to let His will be done through me. And I've been doing this not 30 years, correction, 40 years. I started in organizing in Boston, Massachusetts. And I just want to thank you all today for assisting me in everything that I needed to make our community better. If it wasn't for your expertise, your experience, our communities wouldn't be as good as it is today. And I'm getting ready to celebrate my 70th birthday next month. And I am not tired yet. I have transitioned out of the Bourne Park Boulevard to Granville Plaza. And with the grace of God and the continued support of all of you, I will make a difference at Granville Apartments. All right.
Thank you, Councilman Burke, and congratulations again, Ms. Bonner. Let me do item G3, please.
Item G3, recognize resolution honoring the 2017 City of Winston-Salem University graduates.
Graduates are here with us tonight, and as your name is called in the resolution, if you'd stand up so we can recognize you.
Whereas there are 21 city residents who have successfully completed City of Winston-Salem University: Elaine Bevels, Matthew Bullock, Susan I. Britt, James B. Caldwell, Nina Chan, Theodis A. Chun, Jr., John N. Demling, Cindy Dukes, Marianne Earhart, Jennifer Filipowski, Mary Ford, Kim Gondring, Jordan Gwynn, Carissa Hansen, John C. Larson, Emily Masters, James I. McRavion Sr., Lalik R. Metz, Cynthia Rucker, and Devin Swartz. And whereas the 12-week course has included over 30 hours covering 17 city departments and divisions, having completed a ride-along with either the City Winston-Salem Fire Department or the Winston-Salem Police Department, attending at least one city council or committee meeting, participating in either the 2014 Bond Bus Tour, a tour of the Elledge Wastewater Treatment Plant, Waste Management's Material Recovery Center, or CityLink, and completing a budget project. And whereas Susan I. Britt and James I. McRavion Sr. will earn 3 continuing education units from Winston-Salem State University based on their coursework, and whereas the dedication of all 21 graduates has resulted in a better understanding and appreciation of city government and has given them the resources to better serve their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the Winston-Salem City Council hereby approve honoring the aforementioned 2017 City of Winston-Salem University graduates and wish them much success in their future as community leaders.
Before we vote out, I think we missed one individual, I believe. State your name. Mike Weaver. Very good.
Captain Weaver.
Captain Weaver. May we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations and thank you for dedicating your time to us. Thank you all. Councilmember Adams.
Just so all of you will know that this is not the end. Now that you've gotten some tools in your toolbox, we hope you're going to go use them to help make our city better. You're going to tell your family, your friends, and strangers how much we need to know about what happens in city government, besides sometimes what you read in the paper and maybe else some of the decisions that we make. But now you have an inside scoop on how to make the process better. So again, congratulations to you all.
Congratulations. All right, we'll now go to the consent agenda, and we know that items on this agenda have been unanimously approved by a committee of the City Council or are being recommended in accordance with established city procedure. There will be no discussion of the items on this agenda unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered individually. Items not removed from the consent agenda will be enacted with one motion. This meeting is being televised live tonight on TV 13, and it will be replayed on Tuesday at 9 a.m. and again Wednesday at 9 p.m. Copies of our agenda and videos of our meetings are always available to members of the public online at www.cityofws.org and just click on the Watch Meetings Online option. Council members, we need to pull items C1, C21, 24, 57, and 58. Staff has asked for those to be pulled, and I'd like to pull C15 myself. Are there others?
If there aren't any other.
Councilor Larson?
C10, please.
C10, all right, your motion.
Move approval of the balance.
Second.
Motion second on the balance. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. That's unanimous. Now, item C1.
Item C1, resolution authorizing permanent financing for a 96-unit family rental development known as the Enclave 2, located in the North Ward, recommended by Finance Committee and Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee.
Councilmembers, the city attorney has advised that Councilmember Montgomery needs to be excused from voting on this, so I would first entertain a motion to excuse Councilmember Montgomery.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Councilmember Montgomery is excused. I now entertain a motion on the item.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'll now go to item C10.
Item C10, ordinance designating on-street handicap parking spaces in the city's downtown area, recommended by the Public Safety Committee.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. I wanted to pull this one off the consent agenda because I think it's worthy of note for all the citizens of Winston-Salem to know that one citizen can make a difference in this city. We've heard a couple of examples today already of people being involved and directly having an impact on the character and the well-being of this city. But I'd like to draw the attention to one person particularly, and that's Nancy Dennis, if she'd stand up here, because she is the one who single-handedly took on Greg Turner, our assistant city manager, and persuaded him to address an issue that we all know had been there for a while, and that is the availability of handicap parking in the downtown and on the public streets. And she rallied a variety of supporters. Greg Turner, I think, admirably took charge of the project, identified a plan that was, I think, exceptionally well crafted to locate 4 parking spaces downtown on 4th Street, Cherry Street area. And as a result, we now have a policy and a program citywide to allow us to have handicap parking on public streets, which we did not have before, enforceable by our city police department. And I think this is a great step forward for the city as a whole. I do have, Mr. Mayor, a petition which was submitted to me. It was actually prepared by Carrie Clifford, and it has 365 petition signatures applauding this effort, and I'd like to have that entered in as part of the record of this case, if I could.
I'd entertain a motion for me if you're ready.
And I would recommend approval of item C10.
There's a second. Second. Councilmember Burke.
Yes, I want to say, following up with Councilmember Larson, people say you can fight City Hall, but what I want you to observe that it was not a mean fight. It was a positive relationship, developing communication in a way that we work together to make City Hall what it needs to be. It's so wonderful when you see citizens come with a positive attitude and not angry about things. You help us to know what we need to know, and you are appreciated.
Mr. McIntosh.
Yeah, I want to get in on this victory lap as well. So Ms. Dennis brought this problem to our attention. We dealt with it at Public Safety, and there were concerns about how the business community was going to buy into this, and there are lots of stakeholders involved in this little area of turf we call downtown. And it was amazing how people got together on it. I think the need was seen immediately, and it was addressed relatively immediately, although things take longer than we all would like. But I was very proud of the business community coming together, downtown partnership. I think staff did a great job on it, led by Ms. Dennis and a couple of us here on council who championed this, and we really thank you for kicking that off.
Really thank the staff. Mr. Turner we worked hard together, didn't we?
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
We do have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dennis. Item C15.
Item C15, resolution of support for the National Cycling Center to begin a bike share program in the city of Winston-Salem and to authorize the city manager to enter into an encroachment agreement with the National Cycling Center to install bike share stations within the public right-of-way, recommended by the Public Works Committee.
Mr. Turner, would you just very briefly tell us about this program? I'm so excited about it. I wanted to make sure the public knew this was something that was coming, and to, I guess more importantly, thank Dr. Rick Rao for his leadership in making this happen.
Certainly, Mayor, members of the council. Several months ago, the City Council's Public Works Committee entertained a proposal, actually a report, on different options for a bike share program in the city. Those options ranged from, well, they all but one included a scenario by which the city would be participating financially in the cost of the system. The last option, the one that was preferred, would have it as a purely public enterprise where the city would, in essence, franchise or authorize a private company to operate these bike share facilities in the city. The city would thereby also grant encroachments for the devices that would hold those bicycles to be placed in the right-of-way. Dr. Rao came forward with a proposal, and the Public Works Committee reviewed it earlier this month and recommended it to the council. We think it's a good proposal, and it addresses the needs of the community without costing us anything but a little bit of staff resources.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Turner. I think I'm very excited. As I said, I think many of us who've been to D.C. and New York, these bikes are there. I know Councilmember Bessie is a big proponent of the biking, as others are. So it hits with our programs to reduce childhood obesity and really keep Winston-Salem moving in the right direction. So I would entertain a motion. Now, Councilmember Clark.
I'm going to move approval, but I do have a question.
Just a second. Okay, Councilmember Clark.
This is on Trey Street, if I'm not mistaken, where their facility is.
Currently proposed, yes, sir.
Are there going to be other locations?
We would authorize up to 10 locations throughout the city.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Bessie.
And the draft plan that was presented to the committee has them well placed in strategic locations around the city where folks are likely to need to start biking from and go to. It's a program that's worked in other cities around the country, and we're delighted to have it coming here and believe that it will be well received and have the potential to grow.
Wonderful. All right. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. That's unanimous. Thank you. Now we'll go back to the general agenda, item G4. Oh, excuse me. Let me just say on consent agenda, items 21, 24, 57, and 58 are demolition cases, and the work has been done to correct the violations and or an ownership change. So staff is requested we pull those from the agenda. So without objection, we'll pull those from the agenda. Okay, thank you. All right, now we go to the general agenda, G4.
Item G4, adoption of the Winston-Salem as a welcoming city resolution. This item was continued from the March 27th, 2017 City Council meeting.
Councilmember Bessie has advised me and asked me that without objection, he would like to remove this item from the agenda for tonight's consideration, that he is working on an alternative thought on this issue there. So without objection, we will remove this from the agenda. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Item G5.
Item G5, resolution authorizing acquisition of the former Long Creek Golf Course property for the purpose of expanding the city's recreation and parks inventory located in the North Ward, and recommended by the Finance Committee with 3 in favor and 1 abstaining.
Councilmember Clark, I'd recognize you as Chairman of the Finance Committee if you're ready for a motion.
Yes, I'll move approval.
Second.
Second.
Make a comment. When the Lord closes the door, he opens the window, something like that. Unfortunately, we had a private golf course closed, but we have been able to partner with one of the local conservation funds to purchase the property at what I think is a very, very good price, and we can put it in an inventory for future park development. It does have a swimming pool on site, which we will have open this summer. There's some other buildings which will not be, and we will obviously not be operating a golf course, but it does allow us to put, I think it's 114 acres or something.
165.
165 acres that we will get at a very, very good cost. So I'm happy to make that motion.
Councilmember Adams, I assume will want to make a comment on this.
I'm jumping up and down. Years ago, there were over 6,000 people annexed into the city on the north side of town. And for those constituents and residents on that end, there were no parks. They didn't have the park systems that we have within the urban core in the city of Winston-Salem. So think like 2004 or 5 all the way to now, you're wanting the same amenities that so many others take advantage of every day. Unfortunately, as Councilmember Clark said, the golf course didn't make it, but the golf industry is pretty tough industry. But we had an opportunity to work with a partnership with the Conservation Organization Foundation and help to secure 165 acres for the city of Winston-Salem on the north end of town. It's going to be tremendous for the people that live there. We're going to have, as he said, the pool and maybe disc golf and walking trails and bike trails and other things and picnic shelters that family and playground areas that families can enjoy on the north side of town. So again, I want to thank all the residents that showed up back in October to be engaged and voice your concern about what was happening in your community. I want to thank staff, Mr. Garrity, Mr. Turner, Mr. Page, Mr. Rao, and everybody else that made this happen for us. And I want to thank the City Council and the Finance Committee for helping to take this forward. So we got 165 acres of park.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Adams, for your perseverance on this as well. I know a study came out, I guess 2 years ago, Councilmember Vesey, that ranked Winston-Salem we're kind of lacking in terms of acres of parkland, so certainly adding 165 acres to our inventory will help us move up to that. Councilmember Burke?
I believe if the citizens would look back, we probably is one of the most progressive cities with our parks and our spaces that we have.
That's true. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll now go to item G6, which is the public comment period.
Public comment period.
This is a time set aside each month for citizens to voice their opinions on matters that are germane to city government. When the comment period is called, I'll give each speaker 3 minutes to speak, and we'll limit our total time to 30 minutes. So first person signed up is Jennifer St. Sume. Excuse me if I mispronounced your name.
St. Sume.
Thank you.
My name is Jennifer St. Sume, and I live at 1203 Aspen Way, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27106. I'm a graduate student of communication at Wake Forest University, and I spend the majority of my time researching how what we say in public deliberation forms and influences who we are as citizens. My goal is to shed new light on all the ways our words determine what we are. What I've found time and time and again is what we say does just that. We've heard a lot over the past few weeks. We've heard a state General Assembly threaten to stifle our voices. We have heard the General Assembly threaten our city officials with funding and other legislative means to punish Winston-Salem. We have heard the voices of a community. On one hand, a coalition of religious leaders, community leaders, and voices from different backgrounds that continue to advocate for a culture that welcomes everyone. We have also heard those voices in dissent. Despite Winston's long-standing history of compassion and integration, we have come to a place where welcoming our neighbors is radical. We've heard a lot of description of what is happening today: legal, illegal, radical, simple, weak, and strong. These voices, that collection, is a sound of a loud and surging democracy. We are a collection of voices that have and continue to build and establish ourselves. However, what we have heard today was fear. We heard the cowering of our representatives under the unconstitutional threat of the North Carolina General Assembly. In a democracy determined and dependent upon its people, we ask you to reconsider whose voice you chose today. Because an overwhelming amount of support from this community, as represented in this room, in those letters you've received, in those calls, and on those posters, has shown us that ultimately waiting is not an option. No is not acceptable, and fear is not what we are. I implore you to revisit this matter with urgency. Thank you.
Carol Herman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carol Herman. I live at 2310 Denise Lane, Winston-Salem, the South Ward 27127. About 5 years ago, I was saddened to have to make a poster regarding the state's effort to regulate who could marry whom. And in that poster I wrote, "How will the next amendment restrict our city?" I just felt that because there was one, there would be another, and I'm sad to say there has been. I deeply regret that our state of North Carolina legislature is overstepping boundaries of basic human and civil rights and setting legislation that effectively enshrines state control over individuals' health options, personal relationships and marriage, basic community governing rights, to state our values of acceptance and respect of others and each other. The Welcoming City Resolution simply states that we recognize the worth and dignity of every person and will not institutionalize any form of separate but equal supremacy or discrimination against others who are different in belief, nationality, race, color, sexual orientation, age, or ability, or stress related to safety, as in refugee or immigrant status. I personally would add that we will not give power to one over another by election results, court order, or legislation, nor recognize other levels of legislation, state or federal, that seek to do so in violation of our state and federal constitutions. I'm not afraid of others or our state or federal governments. I respect the Constitution and resist any efforts to tie everyone up in court battles over clearly obvious breaches of morality and contract with the people. We must give up notorious status as infringer of human and civil rights and become an example of whole community engagement for the benefit of all. Our City of Arts and Innovation title can only have integrity if we truly be what we claim to be. As North Carolina motto says, to be rather than to seem. When this comes up again, and I hope it does, I urge you all to vote for a welcoming city resolution today, because the recent events that have happened have made me feel and have sounded to me like extortion. And I am not afraid, and I'm willing to support you in every effort to be who we really are. Thank you.
Dinah Shalala. Dinah Shalala. Alex Anderson.
My name is Alex Anderson. I'm currently a student at Salem College, 601 South Church Street, 27101. I haven't come to that many city council meetings since when I was here last year over HB2, which was an attack on LGBTQ people and workers. And yes, I'm a black person and I'm trans, but I'm not an immigrant, and I don't have to go through what a lot of these people have to go through. I've heard some of their stories, and when I was 10 years old, I had my best friend taken away from me right in front of my eyes by ICE. And lots of people have said that we are a welcoming city. Why do we need to have a resolution? Well, if we're already a welcoming city, I don't really see what the problem is in passing it. It doesn't have any legal backing. It's just saying that we welcome everybody. And maybe if we pass this resolution, other people won't have to see what I saw. Thank you.
Jared Hunter.
Good evening. My name is Jared Hunter. I live at 1501 Charles Michael Court. Courage is not facing danger without fear. It's facing danger in spite of your fear. There's a lot of things to be afraid of in this world right now. There's dangers abroad. There are dangers here at home. There's things to be afraid of from funds being restricted to our city. But we can't let that fear stop us from doing what we know is right. If we allow fear to control our actions, to control our choices and how we treat each other, nothing would change. We would still be where we were 100 years ago, 200 years ago. I've grown up in this city and I've seen it change, and it has become a very progressive city, one that I'm proud to live in and one that I am proud to serve in the Department of Public Safety. I love my home, and I want to see my home become a place that shows it's willing to love others despite the differences. I ask that this council continue to show the courage it has shown over the years to make this city a welcoming city and a place that others can call home to. Thank you.
Gave Tucker. Tucker. Okay. Danny Timpana.
Hello, Danny Timpona, 136 Gloria Avenue. Nice to see everyone again. I guess, I wish we protected immigrants and the most marginalized in our community as much as we're protecting this building right now. It's really blowing my mind to see this. Y'all aren't breaking any laws by passing a welcoming city resolution. I understand you're scared of Raleigh. You're scared of probably the lobbyists, the business interests who are going to threaten to take money away. How are they going to take money away of something that's legal? If we're going to back down to this, what else are we going to back down on? I think it sets a very dangerous precedent to say Raleigh has the power. If they have the power, tell them to run for office in city council in Winston-Salem if they want to affect the laws here. On top of that, immigrants, I was just talking to someone who's opposite views of me. These folks are doing the work that a lot of people that look like me are refusing to do. Reynolds Tobacco, has exploited immigrant labor since probably the beginning of time. So folks working like $3 to $4 a day, 20 hours a day with no organizing rights, no ability for better conditions. Robert, you might not agree with that. But if you talk to the folks who are working in these industries, it's exploitation. It's unpaid labor, more or less. It's exploited labor. There's statistics showing that when people that look like me are trying to do these jobs, they usually leave after 5 or 6 months. There's stats that show if we had a mass deportation plan, the state of North Carolina would lose $10 billion a year. And the fact that we have to rationalize this through economics when this is just a human rights issue just blows my mind. I know that you all have your business interests, you all have your housing projects that you're working on, the real estate companies, but this is human rights. Like, it's as simple as that. You chose your position to serve the people. You did not choose it to serve Raleigh. You didn't choose it to serve the people with the money. You chose it to serve the people. There's around 40,000 immigrants in this community, and they make our community better every day, and you represent them. You represent the people. I don't know. I guess we're just getting kind of tired of coming up here. The other side uses a lot of fear. Someone was like, oh, well, someone who's quote-unquote illegal ran someone over the other day. There's people that look like me who run people over. There's people that shoot up schools that look like me, so should we deport all of them too? We're just going to use fear as our guiding principle. We're going to give in to the new administration's fear tactics, to the state's fear tactics. They've passed 15 bills that have been deemed unconstitutional, and you're going to let them be your moral compass. Think about that. Just think about that. The gerrymandering, the racial suppression of voting, 15 bills unconstitutional, and we're going to use them for our moral authority, and we're going to back down to them, when in reality, you chose to serve the people.
Bev Long, Charles Wilson.
I am Charles Wilson, 445 Marshall View Court, Winston-Salem, 27101. Mayor Joins and members of the City Council, as always, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I do not take that for granted. I know that the City Council went to Raleigh to meet with the Forsyth County Legislative Delegation, and during that time you talked with them about the welcoming resolution. I would want you to know that I have some idea of what kind of pressure their council to bury the resolution must have put you under. When a state legislature votes to commandeer your water supply or your airport, as it did to Asheville and Charlotte, respectively, they might just do anything. Their overreach into our municipal affairs, from dictating what gun regulations we are to have and what taxes we can or cannot assess from our businesses, is unprecedented. The grandiosity is frightening. And I really do understand if this council is inclined to follow their counsel. On the other hand, I must take into consideration the fact that most of the laws this Republican legislature has passed comprise the most regressive and oppressive laws since Jim Crow. They passed the voter ID law, HB 2, Amendment 1, They went on to pass laws that are starving our public school system of essential funds, a law to repeal the public financing of judicial elections, laws that severely modify the power of the executive branch. On and on it goes. At my last reading, our state legislature had spent $10.5 million defending their unconstitutional laws, and they lost every battle. Why, other than fear, would you seek the counsel of lawmakers who have repeatedly passed laws that do not help the average North Carolinian? They have passed law after law that cannot pass constitutional scrutiny. These are not wise people. They do not represent the best interest of our citizens. The Forsyth legislative delegation could have said, we know and trust you, we know and trust the people of Winston-Salem, and we stand with you. That's good representation. Thank you.
Bailey Burgess. Bailey Burgess. Bailey Burgess.
Thank you for being here. Allow me to come. First of all, my first name is Burgess, and last name is Bailey, but that's
Okay.
all good. But why am I here? First thing I want to say is, I heard this expression. I keep this in mind. It said, touch your heart before you ask for a hand. So first and foremost, why I'm in here is to acknowledge, honor, and remember all that took the oath and served. So how up there on the council, on the dais, how many of y'all served in the military? How about out here in the audience, because I got my back to you.
Sir, you want to address the city council?
All right, well, I'm just going to, okay, they can hear me too. But here's why I'm here. What is Uncle Sam's Memorial Tribute Display of what we want to do for Veterans Day? Like coming up on Memorial Day, all right? How we want to do it? Memorial Tribute Display. We're going to have three components. The North Carolina Moving Wall will have the signature of all the Vietnam casualties from North Carolina. Number two, we're going to have the War Memorial Monument, pictures, photos of it from all the 100 counties. Third thing, pictures, photos from the War Memorial Monuments from the 50 state capitals. Okay? And then the next thing is, when we're going to have this, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Memorial Day weekend, out there at the fairgrounds area, the facilities. And what I want to do is use three words, or one three-word phrase. And that phrase is, these three words, far and wide. And the next three words I use are going to be bringing the attention to the city of Winston-Salem from statewide, nationwide, worldwide. This display and thing that we're going to have. And that's what I was called, came here and asking you all to bring this proposal. As I've spoken with the people from out there at the Coliseum Fairgrounds and facility, and they told me to come before you guys and ask for a hand. Because why? Every 65 minutes, we have a veteran commit suicide. Almost 70% are 50 years and older. Okay? We lose 390 of the Vietnam era veterans a day. And come think about it, a lot of these young guys coming back now, okay, they personally know someone by first name that has attempted suicide. So being that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, we want to try to reach as many of these as we possibly can, because time is of the essence. So I said all that. Now I ask you all for a helping hand to put this event on out there.
Mr. Bailey, your time is up. Thank you very much. Thank you. Will Cox.
Will Cox, 1208 Martin Street, Winston-Salem. I realize you guys have heard me before. I don't really need an opportunity to vent. All I have to say is that, the Welcoming City resolution is a reasonable resolution. I think you all know that. I am asking you to actually have a backbone. I know some of you all do. However, at a time when things are not reasonable, there's outrageous rhetoric coming from the Trump administration, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and our right-wing controlled North Carolina General Assembly. It's a time for reasonable people to not do what's pragmatic, to not do what's reasonable, because if you do, there will be unreasonable, outrageous, and harmful things that will happen. We need to go much further than a Welcoming City resolution. We should be a sanctuary city. If you can't stand by this thing that's just a statement that actually says not much more than we're a nice place to be, then that's just plain sad. And we know who you are, and we will remember. And I think that it's time for you to step up, and it's just a shame if you can't. For those of you that even pushed for it to go before the Legislative Committee at the North Carolina General Assembly, you knew damn well that this resolution did not violate any of the 8 resolutions that are before the General Assembly right now. It didn't violate any other law on the books. There's still a Constitution, a Bill of Rights. So what you wanted was an excuse to duck and hide. Well, you can't. We know who you are. And I think you all probably have the fortitude and the courage to stand up to this. And that's the only thing I'm calling for. Thanks.
Marvin Gray. Sarah Ellis. Kim Porter.
Hello, my name is Kim Porter. I lived on West 4th Street, Winston-Salem. Thank you so much for having us speak tonight. We had a rally earlier outside of City Hall, called it at the last minute, got about 150 people there. CNN and other media were there. Some of them are in the room right now. And I think that shows the importance of this. We've gotten well over 1,000 signatures on our petition, and we haven't even been pushing it as hard as we should. I'm going to work diligently on that in the next couple weeks, as well as other people. But the Welcoming City resolution does not violate any state or federal laws. Therefore, the withdrawal of state funding should not be used as a consequence for our city council, you all, to stand up against bullying and to stand up against racism and discrimination. You're standing up for human rights by voting for the Welcoming City resolution. It's simply a welcoming gesture of support for our immigrant population. If other politicians are trying to intimidate you all, our city council, as it appears they are, then I hope you will stand up against them and this political bullying. We don't have the time or the patience to deal with it. They cannot tell you what to do when you're following the law, and it's disgraceful. We all must stand up against this intimidation, and we need your help in doing so by voting for the Winston-Salem Welcoming Resolution. We need to remember that immigrants pay $7 to $12 billion a year in Social Security taxes. And remember, $7 billion is a low estimate by very conservative sources. I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. And I believe in human rights. I believe that racism is rampant, that discrimination is rampant in this country, and we have to stand up against it. What we have seen by our state legislatures is major gerrymandering, voter suppression so bad that it's considered the worst in the nation, and the Supreme Court voted against it. Major bullying against the LGBTQ population, major bullying against immigrants, major support in the past for picking out people and discriminating against them when they ride in their cars, racial profiling, all kinds of things. We have to stand up now. We cannot hold back, because if we allow them to bully you all, then who are they going to come for next? They're already coming for immigrants, coming for the LGBT, coming for black and brown people. And if they think they can get away with telling you all what to do when you're here because we voted you here, then what else are they capable of?
Your time is
And
up.
that's what's scary, and that's what's hateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vote for human rights.
Gabriel Malago.
It's Gabriel Malaguti, actually.
Thank you.
I live on 2441 Marble Street. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, I'm not a public speaker, but here I am. This welcoming resolution, this welcoming city resolution, it simply says, we welcome you here in this community. It's not against the law, federal or state, and for sorry, I'm a little nervous. We are a welcoming city. I moved here 2 years ago. One of the things that brought us, me and my family here, among other things, was the community. People helping each other. People doing everything that they could in their power to help each other. And I ask, please vote yes on the welcoming city resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Nedge. Philip Summers.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Philip Summers of 2422 Peachtree Street in Walltown. I support a tremendous increase in local funding for public transportation because of the critical role it plays in the life of our community. Public transportation is a key factor in quality of life. It fosters healthy communities, promotes civil rights, and enables access to jobs, affordable housing, education, and training. This quote is from the Proceedings of the National Academies of Science, which mirrors our mayor's findings. Transportation matters. Without reliable public or private transportation, holding down a job or securing nutritious food or seeing a healthcare provider becomes far more difficult. Investing in public transportation is imperative as we address poverty and health disparity, which are direct results of decisions we make locally. WISTA's proposed route additions are a minimum response to the outcry of neighbors who are daily at the whims of policymakers. Continuous improvement of the public transportation system is a step towards ameliorating our history of segregation and lack of opportunity in marginalized communities. This is our chance to build a new legacy that demonstrates our concern for our vulnerable neighbors. Please be generous toward transit riders when you are deciding the city budget. Show us that we matter. Expanding transit offerings enables us to have a greater choice and freedom of movement within our community, enabling larger segments of our population a chance to flourish and thrive. More trips to work, to school, to the doctor, to church, the grocery store, and to participate in civic life. Please use your position of authority to increase the city's investments in public transportation because mobility is a shared value that translates into vibrancy for our community, long scarred by individualistic thinking. By offering more and better public transportation, our city can move towards achieving health equity, the state in which everyone has the opportunity to attain full health potential. The additional money you elect to spend on transit, therefore, will be a benefit in numerous tangible and intangible ways. Public benefit via public transit may not be the easiest return on investment to calculate, but the measure of resilience and the ounce of prevention will be priceless. The current transit system is a far cry from justice. Route 87 is the only route that approaches appropriate frequency and that a bus comes every 30 minutes. Route 87 whisks riders to and from city and county social services. Imagine if other organizations, such as major employers and schools, had similar service. More frequent bus service to destinations that enable independence and dignity should be at the heart of your funding decisions. Cities like Chattanooga, Tennessee are utilizing public transportation as a community asset that affords competitive advantage. If Winston-Salem is to continue to grow and compete at a global scale, then our investments in mobility and public transit must follow suit. Thank you for your leadership and service to our community.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Sharon Stevenson. Go we have time for one more speaker, Valeria Kobos. I'm sorry if I'm... All right, Jim Norris.
Valeria's right there.
Oh, okay, she's coming. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people are coming from the overflow room.
Hi, good evening. My name is Valeria Rodriguez Cobos, 338 Barnes Road. Good evening. I know it was basically removed off the agenda to vote on the Welcoming City petition. I would just urge council members to really think about this and remind you that elections are coming up and people are paying attention and they're very interested to see how you stand and whether you're really for the people and you talk the talk and walk the walk, or if you're really just going to leave us hanging like a lot of other politicians in Raleigh have. Anyway, I'll keep my comments short and sweet tonight, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll close the public comment period. Council members, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, Councilmember Montgomery. Please go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to all those individuals who've come out tonight to participate in democracy. First and foremost, I know that there were many people who came out to see an action taken on the Welcoming Cities resolution. And I will say that I want to at least put for the record tonight that I am in support of the Welcoming Cities resolution as stated. I support Councilmember Bessie's resolution as it is written, but also respect the request that was made tonight to pull in order to work on something that may gain an additional amount of support from individuals that may be sitting around the table today. But I think that we have an obligation to, yes, be doers of good work, but every now and then it makes a difference to be able to stand up and say what needs to be said on behalf of individuals. And I believe that we have a responsibility here locally to do that, to say what we mean, to do what we mean. I think that as individuals who have been duly elected by individuals in this community, that we have a responsibility to them and not directly to Raleigh. When I took my oath of office, I was very specific in enunciating my pledge to ensure that I followed the Constitution and that I supported what was right and what was just, but also understand that my oath is to individuals in which that power enumerates, and that is from people in our community and not from, again, legislators in Raleigh, who I agree very clearly when it was stated that if they want to make local policy, then they can, just like anyone else who sits behind this desk, run for and be elected and serve in those capacities. But if not, then what they do is they attempt to make policy in Raleigh, and they should be dealing with the things that they should be dealing with every day. We have individuals who look for employment, look for jobs, and seeking opportunities. And Raleigh does everything they need to ensure that we are a welcoming state for businesses. But can we not do the same thing to make sure a welcoming state for people?
Bethany? Bethany.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what my colleague, Councilmember Montgomery, said and welcome everyone who came to comment this evening. The removal request for the item from tonight's agenda was not an abandonment of effort, but an effort to provide time and opportunity for continuing discussions with my colleagues here and other community leaders on the best way forward to promote Winston-Salem as a welcoming community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. We are adjourned.